Hi everybody, this is Lindsay from WindingRoadCrochet.com, and today is the second episode of my How to Crochet a Gnome series. In this episode we will learn how to crochet the nose, the arms, and the feet of the gnome. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. So we're going to start with the nose, and for the nose we're using a size E crochet hook and about 5 yards of a skin tone yarn. So here's another one of my gnomes. This is the baby gnome, and you can see here the arms, the feet, and the nose that we're going to be doing. The pattern for these three are very easy. It's just that they're so small that makes them a little more difficult, and I'll show you a few tricks of how to work with that. So to get started, I am going to be using the skin tone yarn for the nose. We will make a slip knot first to get the yarn onto our hook. And then we are going to start with a magic circle. So take your yarn, wrap it around your finger, and then working over the yarn where there's 2 strands of yarn. So right here at the top where there's 2 strands of yarn, we're going to work 6 single crochet into our magic circle. So working right into the magic circle, you're just going to single crochet 6 times. So we're just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Feel free to pause if you need to. We're going to pull that yarn tail nice and tight. And then now, because we're doing the nose, we want to keep it nice and small. So we're just going to work 2 more rows. To do that, we're going to single crochet into the next 6 stitches. So no increases, just single crochet into our next 6 stitches. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this, your work is going to want to twist forward. That's pretty common. We're going to take our fingers and try to pull that back. You always want to be pushing your hook from the outside into the inside of your work when you're working amigurumi. So now I'm going to do 1 more row, and all I'm going to do is single crochet into the next 6 stitches. So I finished my 6th stitch, and now we are just going to fasten off. Let me grab my scissors. There we go. Leave yourself a decent size tail in case you're using that tail to sew it on. And then just yarn over your hook and pull through that last loop. And then what I like to do is, instead of actually stuffing this, I just like to use my yarn tails to stuff it because it takes so little. And then I tend to use both yarn tails to stuff it and then glue it onto the gnome, but definitely leave that second yarn tail if you plan to sew it onto the gnome. So now we're going to make the gnome arm, and it's going to take roughly 10 yards of yarn, and we are going to be using 2 colors. Now this is worked up exactly the same way as the nose. We are going to make a slip knot and make a magic circle. So just wrap it around your thumb and then work 6 single crochet into that magic circle. So here we've completed row 1, and we're just going to pull that magic circle tight. And now we are going to work row 2, and row 2 we're just going to work 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches. Though since I am going to be changing colors after row 2 per my pattern, I am going to stop at the 5th stitch, and then I'll show you how to change colors. So now I've worked my 5 single crochet. I'm going to work my 6th one, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then to complete this stitch, we will yarn over with the new color, which is going to be blue. And you're going to pull that through the 2 loops on your hook to complete this stitch, and you'll be all ready to work your next row in the blue. And then we're just going to take a moment and clip off that skin tone color because we do not need it anymore. So you'll go ahead and turn your work out just like we did on the nose. And we're ready to work the rest of our arm. You have two options for working the arm. You can either work row 3 through 8 and just work 6 stitches in each row using a stitch marker to keep track of your rows. The other option is, since we have 6 rows to work and 6 stitches in each row, if we multiply that together, we know it's 36 stitches. So what you can do is just from here on out, count and continue working until you've worked a total of 36 stitches. So I've worked 4 stitches so far. Stitch number 4. This is stitch number 5. And stitch number 6. You can see it's the last one going into a tan stitch. And again, I can use a stitch marker and continue working rows, or from here I can just continue counting. So this is stitch number 7, stitch number 8, and I'll just keep going until I reach 36 stitches, and you just take those yarn tails and slowly move them out of your way so you can continue working. So here I am working stitch 35 and stitch 36. And that completes our arm. You're just going to fasten off, leave yourself enough that you can sew it onto your project. Yarn over and pull through that last loop to fasten it. And then you just need to make one more arm for your gnome. And then I don't stuff this arm at all. I just have those little threads in the center, and that acts as my stuffing. I'm not going to clip them off because I just tend to like to stuff them down into the gnome body. But there you go. So now let's move right along to our gnome feet. And again, you're going to need about 10 yards of yarn for those 2 gnome feet. Again, make a slip knot, starting just like the other 2 pieces. We are going to make a magic circle, and we are going to work 6 single crochet into that magic circle. So when you finish your 6 single crochet, just pull your magic ring tight. And now this row we are going to work 2 single crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. So we are increasing in the next 6 stitches. So 1 single crochet, and then another single crochet. That's the first stitch, 1 single crochet, second single crochet, that is the second stitch, and continue doing around for the first 6 stitches. So I'm finishing up the 6th stitch, so you'll have 12 stitches in this row. We have 3 more rows to work, and again you have 2 options. You can work 3 rows where you work 12 into the next 12 stitches for each row, or again you can just count to 36 because 3 times 12 is 36 stitches. So that's how I like to do it, is I just like to work 36 stitches, 1 stitch into each stitch of the previous row until I reach 36. So you just keep single crocheting around, counting as you go, and then you can continue to turn your work out. It's a little easier on these larger pieces to keep your work turned out as you go. So just working stitch 35 and 36. And then if you want, you can slip stitch. So just going through the next stitch, we're going to slip stitch to the last place. Definitely if you're sewing the end of this, I would definitely slip stitch it. And then just clip an end long enough to sew to the body, pull through that last loop and tighten it, and your foot is done. I just like to use again the ends to stuff it. You can put a little stuffing in this one because it is a little bigger, but you just want to make a second foot, and these 3 pieces are completely done. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and make sure to check out the next episode to continue making your gnome. You can also find all of the gnome patterns on my blog, and as always, thank you so much for watching.